We're at what I believe is the Temple of Xbox. That's what you guys call it. We're at the Best of Xbox showcase here at E3, and we're taking a look at Hyper Light Drifter, sort of an old school top-down, but just taken to the next level with lots of neon colors and lights and things. Tell us, if you will, what sort of inspired you to make this game?
Old school games. You know, I like a lot of classic RPGs, and they're pretty clunky these days. So I felt like it'd be a good idea to take my spin on it.
And that spin is sort of like a neon futuristic, still, and I mean, it's this kind of game you usually don't see railguns and stuff like that. Is that what you want to bring that's different?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a sci-fi future aspect to it. I mean, there's a whole world behind it, and there's a lot of personal aspects as well in the story. So.
And what you're playing right now here is wave-based mode, which is perhaps not the core of it, but sort of a fun, high-score chasing kind of thing.
Yeah, we like to bring it to parties. It's where we show off new weapons, and it'll be sort of like a side mode in the game just to do the fighting. And so the game has a lot more of exploration and seeing the world, but this is just the combat part.
It's a good distraction.
You hone your skills to sort of get ready for the main adventure.
Yeah, for us it's a fun way to screw around with all the things that we want to screw around with, including enemies and weapons. So, and it shows well.
So you hinted at like a backstory, a sort of a greater setting. Can you tell us a little bit what that is?
I can't.
Nothing?
I can tell you it's set in a dying world, and you have a disease you're trying to cure. That's about it.
So does it harken to anything, or is it a personal thing that you're trying to convey, or what's?
Yeah, there's a lot of personal aspects to the story, but it's something you'll find out as you play it.
You don't want to spoil anything.
No, I don't like to spoil those things.
But sort of there's a lot going on the screen here that we can see. I mean, I love how it's almost like a shoot 'em up in some ways, like with the amount of stuff that's going on. Has that also been an inspiration to sort of merge things like that? Like that's also an old school genre, I guess.
Yeah, I love shmups. They're some of my favorite games, especially the bullet hell shmups. So there's definitely some cues taken from those kinds of games as far as the combat goes.
I think we just end up talking about games we like, right? So there's some games, old classics, that are very similar, like a Secret of Mana or Zelda, Link to the Past, but we talk about Dark Souls, we talk about RPGs, we talk about shmups. Like, we take bits and pieces from whatever we think is appropriate and whatever we like the best, really.
Yeah, you mentioned Secret of Mana there. Co-op is part of this game. How important is it to sort of be able to experience it with a friend? Because that's not always the case in these kind of adventure games where you explore a lot and that sort of thing.
Co-op was something that I wanted to put in there, and it was a design tenet from the beginning, so it's pretty important.
Yeah, I remember, I played a lot of RPGs as a kid, so I spent a lot of time alone in my room, all by myself. But Secret of Mana, a couple other games, it was like, oh, I can do this with a friend, and I can kind of feel like I have a real life, and we try to make games that, I don't know, tell a story, but also it's good to see your friends, and
I mean, you can play RPGs with your friends and sort of switch around and play. That's sort of what I did as a kid, because none of us knew enough English to sort of get through the games otherwise, so we had to sort of...
Together. Yeah.
We were co-oping, but with one controller.
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the game is here right now, obviously playable shape, but you're switching around things. Where are you at sort of with the game? What's the roadmap ahead? I know, I guess it's up in the air a little bit, but what are your thoughts?
Roadmap ahead is a lot more development. I think we have some really solid systems and ideas, We have the world kind of on lockdown as far as what we want to put into it, but there's a lot of content creation, and there's a lot of finessing of the things that we already have in there, so that takes time, takes effort, takes other eyeballs looking at it to make sure we do things right. So.
Right, and it's on Xbox One here. Are you looking at other platforms? What platforms are you bringing it out to? I guess that's the beauty now. It's not just exclusive games on Xbox One anymore.
We originally coming out for PC on Steam and just DRM free if you got it on the Kickstarter, and Wii U, PS4, Vita, Xbox.
And then where they'd have you?
Anywhere that we have the time to do it and really want to put it on.
Everything, pretty much everything.
A lot of the things.
Everything except 3DS, right? Right now.
3DS is too crazy right now. Maybe later. That's a whole different bag of beans.
All right. So whenever you're ready, I guess we'll get to enjoy more Hyper Light Drifter. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for asking questions, man.